Good morning, everyone. This is Ryan Hayes with Engage121 for this week's Engage121 Product Update webinar. As usual, I am joined by Jenny McDonald, and today we have Mark DeAndrea, who will be walking through a best practice with you. We're going to start off taking a look at a new chart for the mentions chart and talk a little bit about how WordPress.org works with Engage121. Take a look at a fanlet example, a creative use of an existing fanlet, and then Mark will walk through the best practice with you. So to start off, we'll go ahead and switch over into Engage121, and you'll see that I have a chart here that's called Mentions. We've actually added a new chart. Previously, we had the friend interactions chart that was looking at more just people who were engaging with you in general. A while back, we changed the friend interactions chart to be more defined to just interactions that happen with posts that you send out. So people who reply to a post that you send out, or people who comment or like a post that you send out through Engage121. But we still had some clients that wanted to have that straight mentions option, and so we've added a mentions chart. There's no settings for it. It's just all of your connections will be pulled in. You can just change the title of it, and when you do that, what the mentions are reflecting are all of the direct messages, the at mentions, the wall posts or comments from your connections. So this is looking at just anything that's incoming, regardless of whether it's in reaction to something you did or not. So if you're just looking for a pure number of incoming mentions, this is where you'd find it. And you'll be able to click through and see what's being reflected there. One thing that I will point out, there is a mention in here about the difference in analytics, and we show that also in the friend interactions chart. And the reason we do that is because you may essentially insights are counted differently from when you're looking at a post natively. So insights will, for example, not count any likes or comments that were made by other pages. Only counts the ones that were made by other profiles, so by individuals, not businesses. So you may see different numbers in terms of the counts, a lower count, and then see a higher actual list of interactions. And we do that for the sake of thoroughness, showing you everything that's there, regardless of how your insights data might be reflected. But we just want to point out that there are possibilities that you may see a difference between what Insights says, and you would see that natively in Facebook when you're looking at Insights, and what we're able to show you when we look at an individual post. So the friend interactions chart, I haven't been sending any posts out through this account, so I don't have any interactions that have been happening with them. But if I was, I would see actual retweets of my posts, replies to my posts, likes, shares, and comments on my posts. But again, those are posts that are being sent through Engage121. So when you send an outbound post, we're going to log that for tracking these more advanced metrics for you. But so the friend interaction chart hasn't changed at all. That's still the same way that it has been for a couple months now. The mentions chart is the new addition there that has been added for everyone. And again, that's just a measurement of what's incoming, regardless of whether it was a direct it was caused directly by your activity or not. So the friend interactions is more like the campaign reports that we've gone over as well. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about WordPress.org, just because it's something we've had a couple questions come up about it recently, and it's kind of a world unto its own, because unlike the rest of the social connections that you connect in the account section, WordPress.org doesn't actually have an API. So we're not communicating directly with a centralized server for that information. When you connect with Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, we're connecting directly to their server saying this is the user who is asking to authorize the Engage121 application, and then you say, yes, I want to authorize. All of that is taking place on their server. So when you see that pop-up come up, that's all happening on their system. None of it's happening with us. You're granting access, and when you grant access, what it does is send an authorization back to us. So WordPress.org doesn't work that way, because WordPress.org is actually something that you install and maintain on your own server, on your own solution or hosted system for your website. So there's no actual API for us to communicate with. And if you haven't already worked with our client service team, when you go into the blog section, you'll see that WordPress.org is grayed out and you can't actually connect to it. And the reason for that is you actually need to install a plugin on your blog. So I've got a test blog here that's set up that I'm going to show you kind of how installing that plugin works. Again, I highly suggest that you work with our client services team to walk through this whole process. But what you're going to do is log into your admin panel, and then under plugins, you'll be able to install the Engage121 plugin. Again, you'll have to get that plugin from our client service team. I already have it installed, so you see that I have Engage121. It says deactivate because it is activated currently, and the current version of that is version 0.3.2. To install a new plugin, depending upon the version of WordPress.org you have installed, you'll see either an add new or an upload or install plugins, something along those lines. And the process for doing this is you'll click to add the plugin, you'll go to upload, find the file, the zipped file on your hard drive where you've got that stored. And I'll see if I can find this real quick here. I just had it. There we go. So you would find the zip file on your hard drive and hit install now to install it as an available plugin for your WordPress.org install. Now, depending upon how your system is configured, you may or may not be able to upload directly from your WordPress.org admin dashboard. If not, you may have to send this zip file to your system admin, who will have to upload the file for you directly into the folder. But once that has been done, then in plugins you will activate the plugin, and from that point forward, the Engage121 system will be able to connect to your WordPress.org blog so that you can use Engage121 as a system for posting to it. So when you actually have connected it, you'll come back in here, and after client service has enabled WordPress.org for your account, we've verified that you've installed the plugin. You'll come back here, click on WordPress.org. You'll put in the URL for your blog. Try this again here. There we go. You put in the URL for your blog, just the URL for the blog, not /admin or WP admin or anything like that, and then put in your username for whoever it is you want to post as. Doesn't have to be the admin of the blog. Can be someone who is just an authorized publisher for that blog. But you're just going to use the username and password for that user to connect the blog. And once that's done, you'll see the username of the person you've connected as. If you see anything other than that, then you've probably, something hasn't been installed or activated correctly, and you should consult with our client services team on getting that sorted out. But once you've done that, and you can do this for outlets as well, so if you have outlets who have a WordPress.org, you can come in here and go ahead and add WordPress.org to your outlets as well. But once you've done that, you'll be able to publish through those platforms, so you can go into corporate, and after you put a post together, you'll have WordPress.org as one of the platforms you can select from. You can give the options you'll have here. You have the title for the blog, the permalink, so you can create a custom permalink for anything that you post, the category that's applied to it, the tags that are applied to it, and then a description for that post. And then all of that will function the same way that the rest of the systems work. But I just wanted to explain why it's something that's not turned on to begin with. There are a lot of systems that won't even touch this because there's not an API to integrate with. So we've written this custom plugin so that you're able to connect that blog to your Engage121 account and start publishing through it that way. And then the last thing that I want to show you guys, just to give you some ideas on fanlets, on things you can do on Facebook, before I hand it over to Mark, is a fanlet example that came from one of our clients who wanted to do essentially a March Madness bracket for the champion of Cheesy. And so all this really is a modified email collector. So they've got their image up here, which has their bracket. And as we scroll down, we see that we're reflecting round one right now. And that's between keytars and fanny packs. So they've provided the images for all this, and then as far as the email collector is concerned, it's really just an either or. You pick pick object 1 or object 2, fill in your standard email collector information, confirm that you accept the terms and are over 21, and submit your vote. And that counts as an entry into their contest. And so every week they'll be publishing this, republishing this with a new set of cheesy things. So, for example, the mullet versus skinny jeans, and they'll just keep on updating this and republishing it to crown their champion of cheesy. And those who enter votes get entered in their contest for a trip to Vermont and a tour of the Magic Hat Brewing Company. So just an example of something that's mostly already in the system with our standard email collector fanlets, but taking that and saying, okay, if we do a small modification to that, then we're able to do something that's unique and interesting and engaging and has a high chance of going viral with people voting and sharing and sharing all of this with their friends. So just something I wanted to point out as example of how you can take what's a pretty standard fanlet and make it something that's much more very social media friendly and very viral friendly in terms of getting a lot of interaction, a lot of fan usage. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark here with his PowerPoint on building your community, and here he is.
Thank you, Ryan. On the theme of competition, we'll keep that going. I know I can't wait to see the gold chain hairy chest guy. As it relates to continuing also with the theme of best practices, one of the things that we're really focused on here at Engage121 is to not just go through features, and I think Ryan does a great job of explaining all that's happening with Engage121 and valuable features that you can use, but put a subjective look or take a marketing look at what it means to use some of these features for marketing practices. Now, we have shared, I know Jennifer McDonald has shared a few of these best practices over the past several update sessions, so I'm just going to continue with that theme and go through one of our reputation management best practices, which is who has mentioned more, you or your competition. So basically taking advantage of what Engage121 does to allow you to take a look at not just you but your competition and then understand how you guys are performing against each other. So again, one of the things, and I don't know if you folks or the folks who are on this webinar have seen some of the email communications that have come out of late. These are PowerPoints that we attach to the emails. These are PowerPoints that are available to you at any point. If you are ever looking for these best practices, again, please feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy to get it out to you. So again, the theme here is you or your competition. How do we take a look at you and how you're performing within the social media and apply that to a best practice? So here in step one, what we're trying to do, we're going to use Bojangles, which is a chicken QSR, a quick serve restaurant, and we're going to take a look at how Bojangles is appearing through the social media. One of the things you'll notice in this search is because of the name Bojangles, you can imagine that it's spelled wrong quite often. And if you have a brand name or brand names, if you're an agency that services numerous clients with unique names like Bojangles, obviously you're going to want to take a stab within any of these words as shown here at a few of those different spellings so we could try to capture as much information as humanly possible. So we want to go ahead and search, again, what our primary focus is, which is chicken in this case, and Bojangles. From this search, we're going to save it. One of the things that I think we overlook sometimes as we're looking at Explore is making sure that we capture all of what it is that we're searching for and keep it within our saved box so that we can revert back to it at any given point. The next thing that we're going to do once we've saved the search is we're going to begin to put together the information as it relates to our competitors. So we're going to go ahead and build sentiment and buzz charts for each of our, not only us, but our competitors. So in the case of Bojangles, you're talking about competitors like Church's Chicken, Popeyes, and so on. So there are two charts specifically that we have to build. One of them is a buzz chart. That is telling us the amount of times that we're being spoken about, that we're being mentioned, so how often we're appearing against our competition. Now we're going to have to build a sentiment and a buzz for each of our competitors in the same manner that we built the one for Bojangles up front. Then what's obviously most important once we've done that is to take a quick look at, well, what do we see? So within each one of these charts, and in this specific case we're looking at the sentiment analysis, looking at Popeyes, one of our competitors, taking a deeper dive into by just selecting on, and it's kind of hard to see in this PowerPoint, I don't know if you could view it, but under each of the charts within our Evaluate section, we have a View Data button. When you click on the View Data icon, it pulls up the more in-depth data on that specific day, as we're showing here, and what folks are mentioning about Popeyes in this case. There are a couple other things that we're looking at in sentiment. Obviously, we want to see the post, what people are saying. The other things that we're looking at is well, what is the tone of what is the sentiment of the conversation that's happening? Is it positive? Is it neutral? Is it negative? Obviously, that's important here. If we're trying to figure out A, if we're being mentioned, but B, what type of mentions are we getting? You know, are these folks positively speaking about our brand, or are they negative? So, taking again a look at all of those from all of our competitors, we'll be able to assume what our sentiment is across us and our competitors, which is the first part. And then the second part, or the last step, is taking the sentiment information that you have, so you know the tone that's occurring about us and our competitors, and then taking a look at our share of voice. So what is our share of voice across the marketplace? In this case, we're looking at Bojangles, Church's, and Popeyes again, taking a look at what our share of voice is. So now we have two very good comparatives on what our brand share of voice is, which is shown here, and what the sentiment of that share of voice is. So between those two metrics, we could take a really good snapshot at us and our competitors. So from a marketing perspective, very valuable information for us to be able to assess how we are doing against our competition and how we rate as it relates to the share of voice or the conversations that are occurring socially. Again, a quick study on a simple best practice to use through Engage121. These best practices and more, again, we continue to send these out, and we try to keep them brief. But again, all of these are really important ways for you to use Engage1 or leverage Engage121 for what I would consider pure marketing practices. So I'm going to pass it on back to Brian, and thank you guys for your time this morning.
Great. Thanks, Mark. At any rate, that is the last thing that we have to take a look at today. As always, thank you all for joining us, and if you have any questions or things that you'd like to see us cover in future webinars, please let us know. You can contact Jenny or tweet us at Engage121, and obviously please do follow us on Twitter at Engage121, on Facebook, find our YouTube channel and subscribe to that to find the catalog of these webinars and more. And if you have any questions about implementing anything you've seen here for your account, by all means, please reach out to our client services team, support at Engage121.com, or you can always use that live chat function in the Engage121 application. Again, have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you back here next week.